Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Here am another sinful hat.
Hey there! So, a few of you may be wondering why I was dressed up as Agent Cooper in the introduction of this video. And it's because, well, for one thing, I really love Twin Peaks. It's like the best thing ever. But beyond that, it's also the best metaphor I have ever seen for the ultraterrestrial phenomena. So now a few of you may be wondering what the heck an ultraterrestrial is and why you should care. And I'll let you know about that as well. Ultraterrestrials. To best explain what they are is probably to explain what they are not. So, ultraterrestrials, it's one of three main categories to explain the alien phenomena here on Earth. You know, the whole bit. Alien abductions, UFOs, little green men, or gray men, or Nordics, or, you know, mantises, I guess. And of the three groups, we have the extraterrestrials, which is obviously the most popular theory out there. The cryptoterrestrials, which is relatively new, relatively unpopular, but still a good one. And the ultraterrestrials, which is also very unpopular. So extraterrestrials, as I'm sure you all know, unless you live under a rock, in which case, for those of you living under rocks, extraterrestrials are living things from other planets. If they are Martian, if they live on Kepler 90I, if they are, you know, a microbe colony living on an asteroid somewhere, that's an extraterrestrial. Cryptoterrestrials, the term is pretty new. However, the idea was really, I'd say, investigated by Ivan T. Sanderson, specifically in his book Invisible Residents and his other book Uninvited Visitors. His notion is that there was a race or races of advanced beings that lived in the oceans of the Earth. Again, it's a really great theory. So a cryptoterrestrial is the idea that UFO sightings and alien encounters are from terrestrial races, just ones that we don't know about, hidden terrestrial races. So literally cryptoterrestrials. So, but that's another video. Ultraterrestrials are, man, they are a lot of things, man. So, the term was coined by John Keel. He really came up with the idea when he was researching the Mothman of Point Pleasant. The notion is that there's a spectrum of universe, of reality, of life, that we don't fully experience all the time. Now this, in and of itself, is not a crazy theory. I mean, we know that there's an invisible spectrum, we know there's sounds we can't hear. However, Keel's idea is that out of this spectrum come UFOs. Mothman, poltergeists, Bigfoot, heck, the Men in Black, Dogman sightings, everything. Now, I'm not totally on board with the fact, he truly believed, John Keel believed, that all paranormal occurrences were due to ultraterrestrials, to this spectrum that kind of underlies and overlays our world. Like I said, I don't totally agree with that, but I think that there are certain things that can't be explained any other way. So this is where Twin Peaks is a perfect narrative. I won't spoil anything of the show because it's too perfect to, you know, ruin for anybody who hasn't seen it. But it's enough to say that the Black Lodge is a really great symbol of what this other realm, for lack of a better word, would be like. It's something that, as opposed to existing in our world, only intercepts our world at specific times or specific places. These places include the Bermuda Triangle, probably the Demolotov Pass, Skinwalker Ranch. Pretty sure the Baraboo Circus World Museum is one of these portals. So, I know all this talk of like portals and other worlds sounds pretty far-fetched, but not when you really think about it a piece at a time. Now, to use one of my all-time favorite encounters ever, we're going to go back to the Mothman, which I firmly believe is of the ultra-terrestrial bandwagon. Now, if you watch my other video, I kind of go into more depth as to how I believe the Mothman was created, how it exists, you know, as a human kind of thought form or tulpa that warns us of upcoming disaster. However, that doesn't make it any less of an ultra-terrestrial, seeing as it lives outside the spectrum of life as we understand it. So, when I say that it lives outside the spectrum of life, I mean that it flies in the face of natural laws, the laws of physics, heck, the laws of space and time. First and foremost, the Mothman is an impossible creature. I mean, for it to be able to fly, its wingspan should have been around 30 feet. However, typically up to anywhere from 5 to 10 feet tall, the Mothman's wingspan was only, proportionately about the arm span that it would have had if it were a person. And beyond that, it also often took off from the ground without flapping its wings. Again, this is physically impossible. This thing should not have been able to fly. Unless you look at it as more of a projection, which is how a lot of witnesses described seeing the Mothman as kind of flying over reality as opposed to being a part of it. Another thing to note here is that a lot of witnesses to the Mothman and other, not just Mothman-like creatures, but other creatures worldwide, typically were burnt with actinic rays after their sighting. This is due to infrared radiation. And another thing to note is that a lot of witnesses to paranormal things often say that when the phenomena first occurs, when it first starts, it has an odd greenish, otherworldly glow to it. And then a lot of sightings, again specifically of Mothman, said that as the creature moved through space, the greenish glow dissipated until finally it became an infrared glow, and then the creature vanished. Now this is evident of something passing through the visible spectrum, from ultraviolet all the way to infrared, and then into the invisible spectrum, thus vanishing. Another thing is that people who witness lots of different, cryptids, I guess you could say, a lot of the times they say that they're struck with this deep physical fear. And I know what you're thinking. Man, if I was seeing some sort of headless, winged creature screaming its head off, I'd be afraid too. However, this fear is something that seems physical. It's almost more of a bodily response to a stimulus from the environment. Now, inaudible noise has been known to cause this type of fear. Even in the wild, apparently, large cats will have this part of their vocal cords that gives off this ultra-deep vibration that is not physically heard, but it's felt by their prey and it paralyzes them. So you have these creatures giving off invisible radiation and also inaudible noise, thus meaning that they are capable of manipulating a sphere of existence outside what humanity can understand. So, the issue with ultraterrestrials is that they encompass so much that it's tempting, and like I said before, John Keel definitely was all gung-ho to throw everything paranormal into the ultraterrestrial bandwagon. I mean, Men in Black, UFOs, ghosts, Bigfoot, Dogman, everything. Into the tub labeled ultraterrestrial, tossed under the bed and hope it doesn't come knocking in the middle of the night. However, there is a dividing line. Maybe fuzzy and hard to see, but there definitely is one. And I'll take one of the best-known cryptids as a perfect example. So let's say you see Bigfoot. I don't know, you're out in the woods, you're driving late at night, you see Bigfoot along the side of the road. So you stop, you look, there's tracks, there's hair sample. I mean, what more could a Bigfoot investigator ask for, right? All of these things, however, point to a physical creature. And I'd like to point out here, too, that Bigfoot is a totally, logical thing. I mean, there is enough space in America, there's enough food for a, population of Bigfoots, which is the proper term, Bigfoots, to exist. So, yes, there is a physical creature Bigfoot, just simply an undiscovered primate. However, now let's take your sighting. Let's say that you're in downtown Madison. Let's say that you see Bigfoot in a suburban neighborhood. And now, Bigfoot has these glowing red eyes. Let's say that there is a light in the sky behind Bigfoot. Let's say that this light then turns into like an orb that has some view of a different sky behind it. Let's say that then, you look later and Bigfoot either didn't leave any tracks, or it left a huge trail of tracks that starts from nowhere. It just abruptly starts or abruptly ends, like it came from nothing and disappeared back into nothing. Let's say as you're looking at Bigfoot, you start to get this notion that it's reading your mind, that it's trying to hypnotize you. You know, and then as you're watching, Bigfoot just turns into like smoke or a shadow and disappears. And the crazy thing is that all of these things have been reported in Bigfoot sightings. So now the answer is not quite as simple as we have an undiscovered primate, because what undiscovered primate can appear and disappear at will and has glowing red eyes and, you know, is accompanied by its own fleet of flying saucers? So, like I said, the ultraterrestrial theory is a very good one. My thing is that it does not make the other theories any less valid. Personally, myself, I think that extraterrestrials exist. I think that they visit Earth. Especially if any of you saw the guy that worked for the Pentagon recently go to the news. That was pretty awesome. However, I think that there are also things that are not specifically of this universe. There's things that we don't always see, that we can't always see, that sometimes intercept our world and interact with us. And again, like everything in the paranormal, it's under-researched, it's understudied. The thing of it is with ultra-terrestrials is I think that people are really afraid to admit that there is a huge big something out there that we can't totally understand and we don't always experience. I mean, the idea with ultra-terrestrials too is that right now, you know, where are they? They could be anywhere, they could be nowhere. It's a whole different spectrum of existence and understanding that we just don't have. So, who knows? I mean, I think that if people really put a conscious effort towards it, we could probably definitely, maybe not get to the bottom of it, but definitely understand it quite a bit more. And then maybe things like, you know, real tragedies like the Molotov Pass incident, or any of the disappearances regarding the Bermuda Triangle, even the sinister Men in Black maybe could be understood quite a bit more and, you know, future tragedies could be prevented. Maybe time will tell, maybe it won't. This is just another tinfoil hat, signing off.
Do